Okay, so back for round 2 with my Nahida Rainbow deck. And we appear to be against some sort of melt team. Okay, we've got Pine, we've got Lieben. That's excellent. Now, again, it's a question as to whether I want to keep both or just one. Pieman is generally the better one. Last time I opened with Lieben because I was missing 2 of the key cards. I think I will keep both to have the option this time. Okay, we drew the Treasure Hunter's Sealy. I'm experimenting with this card still. People seem to think it's very good. I think it's pretty good. But I am slightly wary of the fact that you have to play it a long way ahead of time, because you don't always want to be spending your dice just to draw cards very early on. Okay, so as always, you want to start off looking for Electro Dice. And that's a whiff. Huh. Wow. It's going to make life a lot harder than it should be. This is quite interesting, actually. I wonder if there's an argument to me just for Hyman and Lieben, and then just passing. It seems super suspicious to do it that way, though. I think I'm just going to bite the bullet and toss a couple of cards. Probably these 2. Oh, Changing Shifts is such a good card. Could be the Sealy, in fact. Yeah, let's toss the... Actually. Okay, let's do it this way. This hurts, for sure. But it's so important to get this skill going on that first turn. Oh, and I forgot to play the Sealy. See, I did say I was new to this card. Perhaps I won't play it and just hold it for tuning. Well, sadly there's no point playing it this turn, since I won't be using another skill. Okay, if anyone's using NRE, I like this card. And they added some new food synergies in this last update. I'm really interested to see if it ends up being good. If anyone's tried out the new food synergies, let me know. That would be quite interesting to hear how they're doing for you. Okay, I need to do this swap sooner or later. And since I'm not activating the Lieben on this turn anyway, this is a good chance to do it, since the opponent is probably going to be using his skill himself on this turn, so I should get turn priority next turn. If he does that. If he doesn't, that's fine too. Timmy's also an interesting card I considered for this deck. Could be pretty strong. I actually think this card is a bit underrated. Cards that cost 0 are generally pretty good in this game. He didn't waste 2 of his dice, so that's not good news for him. Right, again, no point using the die in the CD here, because I'm not going to use a skill this turn after this point, so I might as well just wait till next turn when I can decide if that's going to be used. Since I do want to get the Lieben to trigger on this turn as a priority, I'm looking for Dendro and Pyro Dice again on turn 2, and that's a bit better. Much more like it. Alright. 3 plus 5. Yeah, I do think it is correct to use the CD here. Even though I'm going to have to wait a while for the cards. Wait, actually, is that correct? I could just carry over 1 die to the next turn with my Vanarana. That's also pretty strong. This is why I think the CD's not necessarily that great. But then, that to be said, I did miss playing it on turn 1 when I should have. Okay. So far our opponents played a couple of you know, slightly generic cards, I guess I would say. I would play the Celia, I've decided. Because at the end of the day, drawing 3 cards for 1 die is pretty good value. I shouldn't complain. And I will actually need to use my Nahida skill twice before bursting with her. Oh, this does mean I'm not treating live end this turn, of course, but I was never going to be able to do that anyway. With the original plan. And I suppose at this point, the Vanarana is entirely unnecessary when I've already got a live in here that wants to eat 2 dice anyway. And this Lotus Kiss is obviously one of the best cards you can have in your hand as you get towards the late game. So I'll toss the early game Vanarana card and bank on just making best use of the Lotus Crisp later. Okay. We're getting pretty close to killing the Diluc here, who's the character with the equipment on, which means he's a bit more of a priority to focus on taking out. Alright, and this turn, really I just want to use a Dendro dice, because my ideal play would be Nahida's Elemental Skill into Nahida Burst. My hand's looking a bit rubbish. And my dice aren't helping me out much either. This toss-up though, this toss-up could save me. Could save me a little bit of effort for sure. I'm trying to think about what my opponent's likely to play here. He probably doesn't want his Diluc to die, so maybe he's got a Lotus Flower Crisp for him, with all the food he's playing. And that would save him for his next attack. Let's just calculate this. If I use the 2 Dendro damage with Catalyze, that's 3 plus 1 from burning. This is looking like lethal on his Diluc, which is excellent. So let's make sure I just get all the Dendro dice that I can possibly find. I used to think Toss-Up was a pretty bad card, and sometimes when I roll 0 Dendro dice with it, it seems like a pretty bad card still. I rolled 1 Dendro die. Oh, 1 Omni die. Alright, it's a bit of an oof, but it should be okay. So I didn't draw Nahida's talent card for the burst, which is definitely unfortunate. The burst is still definitely worth using. And the advantage of the set I've got currently is I managed to get this Burning Flame proc from the Diluc. And this is the best reaction you can be triggering in this deck, the burning reaction, because the more of these burning flames you can summon, the more reactions you can then cause afterwards. A reaction that then gives you like an additional application of an element is just such a busted idea. Okay. So, thanks to my Celia, I have a few more cards to work with now. Yusu is going to be a bit slow here. I can imagine Calyx's arts being very strong. I've already got 1 Liven sitting there. He should go off hopefully this turn. But not really going to be important to this fight, since the opponent's basically dead. In fact, that's exact damage there. I'd like to say I calculated that, but really I'm just playing to just optimize my damage in general, and this match hasn't been challenging enough to really have to worry about it too hard. This deck is probably one of the easiest decks to play that I've created. Okay, interesting position here. I'm thinking if I switch to Raiden and he goes first, he just overloads me to push me off Raiden. So while Raiden calcs his arts into her burst would probably be the very best thing I could do next turn, it wouldn't work out anyway. And it's better to... Well, actually, do I have lethal? 1 goes up 1 plus 2, 3, 5, 6. Alright. I was about to say that it's better just to wait and activate the Lieben instead of using the... Oh, and of course I get the extra damage from the Shrine of Maya, so it was actually insane overkill. But obviously killing the opponent's going to be better than waiting a turn. Alright, nice turn 3 win there.